Yeah, here. We're fine.
What would you call that little section, like not the cock rock stuff of the 70s, but that slightly arena, like that Journey, that Foreigner,
Boston.
Arena
that
rock.
Boston, arena rock.
Yeah.
It has
Arena
to be
rock.
because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Foreigner,
Billy
Journey,
Squire.
and it
Yeah,
has
right.
like
All
a
that kind of
hard
shit.
lean of prog. A lot of it, like Boston, has a
Right.
hard lean of prog.
Like
and
it's always a pop
Kansas.
song, but then like it's a 55-second outro of like keyboard solo,
Yeah,
like
right,
weirdness.
Right.
Also, like in that time is like Ram Jam's Black Betty like
Yeah.
fits in there, right? Like
Oh, I thought that was earlier.
that's earlier, but I
Yeah.
feel like it all fits in the same kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also got like a weird crossover with like Southern rock, right? A little
I
bit.
Don't taint my arena rock with Southern rock, please.
Me, the song that me and you are obsessed with, that is a Foreigner song, is called Double Vision, my friend.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the one me and you.
Double vision.
Yeah, we sing it all the time to each other.
that's a good one too.
Yeah,
It's like all their hits are kind of like thematic songs.
This
They're
is the-
Cold as Ice,
Yeah.
Hot Blooded, Double
Yeah.
Vision. They're all just very.
Yeah, I bet you
On
they
the
had
nose.
like brainstorm sessions where they're like, "What's a good phrase? It's a
Yeah.
good phrase. Cold as ice.
Yeah.
There you go. Write it down
know
on
what?
the board."
I wonder if they had like walk hard moments, like the lead singer's like he just broke up with a girl and
Yeah.
he's just like
Oh, this bitch is cold as ice.
he's like cold as ice.
Double Vision. I've Double Vision
Man,
as
that
like
chick's hot blooded, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you just say?
They really missed. They really missed the brainstorm. Just the clouds rolled over them. Thunderstruck was right there. AC/DC called that up.
I know.
That would have been just right in line.
I know.
where was the singer at the eye doctors, and he was like, "It seems you have double vision."
And he's like
And you just hear whatever the
Just
keyboards and everything.
wearing like these big doofy like eyeglasses.
Oh my
My
god!
God. Anyway, welcome
I
again
saw
to the garage.
that
by the
singer
way.
live.
Did you?
Just the
at the
singer.
Woodstock Fair.
Woodstock Fair's had some names. I saw Foghat at the
forget his
Woodstock
name.
Fair. I saw Quiet Riot at the
Forgetting
Woodstock
it.
Fair right before the lead singer died.
Yeah, I was like 17 when they played there.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Foghat though, I was so happy.
Play a little fog.
Foghat. Oh man. Yes. By the way, welcome again to the garage.
Oh, also Ian McDonald was in
Music podcast.
Foreigner.
I know.
Rest
As a
in peace.
guitarist,
Rest in peace, Ian McDonald.
Mm.
very talented member of the original King Crimson.
And then
Playing some nice flute and lute.
Oh,
Both on
you're
that
talking
album.
you're talking my language.
this,
Flutes and lutes. We need to write a folk prog.
Is that our
album called
Guns N'
Flutes and
Roses
Lutes. Yeah.
folk cover band?
Yeah.
Flutes and lutes.
Flutes and lutes.
Mick Jones, is he
Yeah.
the singer for Foreigner?
He's the lead guitar player.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
Who's the singer?
I don't know.
Say some names and I'll
We
tell
have
you.
Jeff Pilson.
Nope.
No. Oh, these are past members. That's probably why. Thank you for that
Let's
mic
put it
adjustment.
straight
You're
on
welcome.
too.
Who are we thinking is the singer of? Oh, you know what? I can just do this.
You scrolled too fast.
I know. I'm just gonna go to their first album.
I know that 3 were English and 3 were American.
Wow.
Oh, Lou
East meets
Graham.
West, huh?
Lou Graham,
Nice.
lead vocals.
Lou Graham.
The 3 guys
on.
from whichever, America or England, all have last names that start with the same letter.
Do they?
Mick Jones, so they all have J last names.
I feel like Mick Jones though should change his name because like obviously the
No, he
clash guitar
shouldn't.
player's much
No.
better.
Mick Jones, Mark Ronson's stepfather.
Really,
hmm
very fascinating.
I don't think currently, but at some point in his youth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, onward we go. Welcome. Let's get in the garage.
But it's a music podcast.
It's a music
It
podcast.
is.
This is just what we talk about. But that's not what we will be talking about on today's episode. No, today we thought we would talk where film meets music.
Where
music- well,
film
or I should say
meets
where film meets music.
Where music meets film.
In a
Yeah.
West Side Story type of knife fight.
We're going to get into a rumble. So we each picked 3 of our favorite movie soundtracks.
Wrong.
Not favorite movie.
We each picked one.
We each picked one. Sorry, not our favorites.
okay.
Yeah, because it's probably not my favorite. But we each picked one movie soundtrack and one movie score.
Yes, we
And
did.
then,
Who wants to explain the difference between a soundtrack and a score?
Well, I will.
For the layperson out there.
yeah.
So, like, a score is something that, like, Hollywood originally did because we didn't have, like, pop songs that we could just insert into movies. And if they did, they usually had the performer playing it live, and they would record it like that. So, anyway, movies had a thematic score, usually, like, orchestra, full orchestra would play, and it would evoke the mood and setting. And this was kind of originally done in Broadway in stage, where they would have the band play in the pit, and obviously musicals, but they would also play to on and off stage and things of that nature. So that's the difference between a score. Probably just to give you like the biggest one like that everybody knows, like, is the like Star Wars scores. Everybody knows that music by John Williams.
Yep.
So that would be what that is. And then we have a movie soundtrack, which is pop songs and music that is used in the same way as a score, but it wasn't specifically written for that movie. It is just like used as a found artifact and put in and inserted into a movie.
Do we?
Did I do an okay job at that?
That was good.
Thank you, guys.
Did you
I need the validation.
Now a thing
we
you said
all?
was taking found music and putting it into a movie to underscore things. I do enjoy, though, when movies do specifically have like a theme song written for the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes, that's also
They're-
amazing.
That's John Williams' magic talent.
well, no.
But I'm talking about like
Oh,
Or
I'll
you
give
mean
you-
like
a movie where the title is like
I'll give you my favorite example.
Oh,
Stevie
yeah,
Wonder's "Stay Gold," the
oh.
theme song to the Outsiders movie.
Yeah.
Stay gold when you were young and carefree. Stay gold.
Yeah.
So good.
What other ones are written specifically? Like "My Heart Will Go On."
yeah.
Written for Titanic.
What are some that like use the title in a fun way?
Oh, that you have you seen that Tom Hanks movie that I'm not going to be able to think the name of now, about the band? It's like
Yes, That Thing You Do.
yeah, that thing you do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that the name of the song in
That's
the
the name
movie
of the song. Yeah.
that they play like
Yeah.
a jillion times in
Yeah.
the movie?
They do play it many, many times in the movie.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Or you got those classic 80s ones where like The Never Ending Story.
The never-ending story.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, like
It's the only part that anyone remembers.
so it's like almost like a sitcom theme song.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
But anyway, so soundtracks and scores. I think they're both very important because even going back to silent pictures, when movies first began, it would be just rolling film, and they would have like a honky tonk piano player playing something because you need that to drive the emotion and all that stuff. Because looking at something is one thing, but when you add in the drama and the tension and the mystery of different things.
Yeah. And I think a couple of these selections too are kind of hybrid-esque
Sure.
in a way. You know what I mean? Where the lines kind of get blurred because if you want to start it off,
If Luke
Luca.
wants to start off
I will-
with his soundtrack pick.
Yeah. I chose the movie Baby Driver,
Right.
which is featured
yeah.
above Michael's head and mine over here.
yes.
It's Edgar Wright film. I don't know the exact year it came out, but Michael's gonna figure
Let's
that
say
out. for me.
2016,
That sounds about right.
something like that.
So what I like about this movie's soundtrack is it uses a lot of instrumental music and builds a like kind of score off the instrumental like pop music in it. Like it has the Beach Boys' "Let's Go Away for a While" or the Incredible Bongo Band.
Bongolia.
Thank you. I needed you to say it, Jeffrey. So it uses like a lot of music like that. It's also the movie has a lot of car chase scenes in it. And it's used to like that great effect as well. But yeah, so let me grab the soundtrack.
And this movie, I know Edgar Wright wrote this movie, like probably all of our choices actually that we're going to talk about soundtrack wise. he wrote this movie knowing what musical cues he wanted, underscoring different things. Because the character spends a whole movie with headphones in, listening. So it's like, what do they call it?
So he has tinnitus.
Tinnitus.
Yeah.
No, but I can't remember the word where they like are. You're literally hearing what the character is hearing.
Oh,
There's a word. Google it.
Oh.
I have no idea what that word is.
It's a $10 word. I think it starts with an A.
I don't know.
Oof. Above my head, bro.
Antecedent? Is that right?
Maybe.
I don't know. Google me.
Google me. Google it. Leave it in the comments.
But you know what I mean? Like it's not. It exists in the scene of the movie, not just like we hear it as the audience type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so like that's great. Like that's a point that you don't even really realize is that every song that you hear throughout the entire movie, the main character is also hearing. So,
it's like you're hearing what he's listening to.
Yeah, not to give away this spoiler alert actually, so I'm gonna give it away. So spoilers on this movie, but this is why this movie is a great music movie. So the character has tinnitus in his ears. Obviously, you can't have it anywhere else. And so he wears
I got a bad case of tinnitus in my back.
He has a iPod constantly playing to drown out the hum in his ear.
Yeah.
And so every scene is just scored with these wonderful, great songs, and he uses instrumentals like crazy. Like there's Dave Brubeck on there, Unsquared Dance, dum 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 dum, like all that. Yeah. And then it has like great pop songs as well in it that like accent big parts of it. What's the word, Jeff?
Diegetic.
Diegetic.
That was close.
I like it.
Not really.
You weren't that
scrambled. Dyslexia. Okay.
But it also has like great pop songs like B.A.B.Y. by Carla Thomas, like classic soul.
Yeah.
And it also uses like great punk music too. It has Neat 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 by The Damned. The great Deborah Beck conversation in the movie.
I love that Beck song.
Oh my God, right? Like it's just so.
I've loved that song since the second I heard it like 15 years ago. I love that song.
Well, explain what that Beck song is about. And they explain it in the movie as well.
The Beck song, I believe the narrative of the song is he's at like a J.C. Penney and he's trying to talk to a girl, but he's really wants to get the information for her sister.
Yes.
But it's like corny. It's like a very corny white guy Prince song.
Yeah.
Basically.
And it's like great because they're talking about like the songs that begin with the girl's name, and she knows that one, and then he's like, "Well, you have another one, and it's a T-Rex song."
Yeah.
So it's just like great moments like that are throughout the whole thing, and then the Edgar Wright films have like a lot of Queen music in them. And this one ends in Brighton Rock. It's like one of the it's super epic. Like the end scene of this movie, which I'm not gonna give away, is so like it's just awesome. And Queen's playing, and the Brian May guitar solo is just like epic with the cars that are going on. It's amazing. If you love cars, if you love guns, if you love robbery movies, if you love music movies, that's why this movie I think is so great. It's all those things in one. It's a music movie, it's a heist movie, it's a car chase movie. So yeah, check out Baby Driver.
And the music is
great.
like it's a main character of the movie.
So
100%.
The movie would not work without the variety and the use of these songs, I don't think. And
and it plays on like two major types of music too. It's old soul music, right? And then like hip instrumental, kind of obscure instrumental songs. So all around, highly recommended. Check it out.
Do you have a favorite moment, Mike, of this music, or a favorite song, or anything that sticks out particularly?
I do. I love the opening of the movie, like that first.
The John Spencer Blues Explosion song, probably.
Bell
Bottoms.
Bell Bottoms.
He's like,
oh, and he's driving that like crazy bright red like Subaru, like I think it's probably WRX or something.
Yeah, it's not on the cover. The Mustang's on the cover.
That's the Challenger, I think.
Challenger. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he still has Challenger. But yeah, that first sequence and then that whole driving scene with the music and everything, and then the way that like there's low points in the song. It's kind of things when things slow down for a hot minute, like in the driving sequence. That's what I love so much. And then it goes into Harlem Shuffle, I think, the next song. And as he's walking down the street, you'll see like a lyric,
right.
like graffitied on the wall, or you know what I mean, like
Or
so,
the lights are sequencing to the changes in the music.
yeah. Or the gunshots on tempo to songs, like
so good, right?
Yeah.
Or they're beating somebody and it's going like whack, 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 whack in tempo to what they're doing. Oh, it's amazing. Dude.
It's just so cool. Yeah, it's it gave me.
He's a master of it. All of his movies do stuff like that.
My favorite moment is in the second chase scene where they're playing the Damn's Neat 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 and the truck downshifts, and then the song, it like the guitar goes like choom, just like that, but it sounds like a downshift, and he does it with and it's like one of those moments you're like, how, like, it's just so amazing because you think of like a car downshifting like in your head when you like in the song, and it's just that moment lined in. It's amazing. This movie's full of moments like that.
I like menacing, about to kill him, John Hamm, and he pulls off the headphones, and it's Barry White, and then John Hamm's like, "I'm never gonna give you up, I'm never gonna." He's like looking at his face, like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you."
Yeah, right.
And he's just sweaty and grimy, and like,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
Such a wild movie.
Well, that's
so
I've only seen it once. I gotta go back and watch it.
I just watched it.
Yeah.
The other night.
Yeah, did you really like it?
Yeah, I really liked it.
Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh my, like I remember when the Carla Thomas song came on, I was like, oh, this movie's groovy as shit. Like it's just really, it's so well done. And
and great characters too. The main character, Baby, whose real name is Miles, I think it's revealed at the end. Like, yeah, it's just, you can see he's so good in the way of being like, clearly he just wants to fucking, you know what I mean? Like run away with the girl and all that kind of thing.
You feel for him so bad.
And he just does not want to be involved in it, but
yeah, it's just such a cool movie. It like when I first saw it, like made me like love movies again. So very cool.
Yeah, great music. Great use of music.
Yeah. Moving on. Do you want to go, Jeff? Do you want me to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
My choice is the soundtrack to one of my favorite movies, Boogie Nights, directed and written by Paul Thomas Anderson. This is like a peak mid-90s movie with tons of music, so much that they actually made 2 volumes of a soundtrack for sale. So it's a music from the movie Boogie Nights, and then it's more music from the movie Boogie Nights. So it's a double CD. It's like all music. Now that I know the word diegetic, so it's in the scene. It is really playing like it's like the party music of that time, which is like 1977 to 1982. So it has a ton of disco hits, like big hits. But then it also has these slightly more obscure, or I should say, definitely by the mid 90s and especially today, much more obscure songs that feature heavily into it. The song Jungle Fever by the Chaka-Chas, which is this, it's just this like very seductive, like French whispered words and heavy breathing. And so it was like, it wasn't played on radio, I guess, because it was deemed explicit for the time. The song Spill the Wine, which we have featured over here by Eric Burdon and War, which the reason I like the music in this movie so much is there's a couple songs on the Volume 2 CD that are briefly or like kind of background music in the movie, but especially on the first disc, it's like these songs are full length in the movie, and some of them are just the song is playing with images. Like Spill the Wine by Eric Burdon and War, they let like 2.5 minutes of the song play while the camera's just like following people around at a pool party.
Can I just on that note real fast? Yeah. When they jump into the pool and the chorus starts playing,
it goes underwater.
It goes underwater, and the camera, and there's like all the girls, and it's like spill the wine, and that's obviously water, wine, like the solid,
and
solid
they
music.
Mix
camera
a
shot.
song. They mix a song so it gets all flangery and weird, and then as soon as the person emerges from the water, the sound of the record brightens up again. Yeah. So like. Very cool use of like that. They're using it as if the song was playing loudly at the party.
Yeah.
You know, some Marvin Gaye. One of my favorite songs is it's not the opener. The opener was kind of this short song that was composed by Michael Penn, who did the score of the movie. But then the first thing that hits when like the credits start rolling is a song called "Best of My Love" by The Emotions, which is an Earth, Wind, and it was written by the guys from Earth, Wind, and Fire, and it's just like 3-part female harmonies, just kick you in the ass type of disco pop.
Emotions.
What did I say?
No, you.
Oh, did I say that?
No, you didn't. I was just.
Oh, okay.
You said written by the guys by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was just
The
adding.
Emotions, yeah.
I knew as soon as that was the first song. I was like, we were somewhere once, and we were looking through a dollar bin, and that Emotions record was there, and Jeff's like, buy that record, man. That's a good record. And I was like, all right. And that song has been like a part of my life ever since. And then because I just watched this movie for the first time this week, when that song came on, I was like, oh, of course it's a Jeff movie. I was like, Jeff loves this fucking song.
And it's like ba da 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 da, and then it's like bright lights of like the club scene.
And then it's just that great shot too of like the walking through the club that's like reminiscent of that mob movie that I'm not gonna be able to think
Goodfellas,
of. It's like that Goodfellas scene, but in of itself.
So it's kind of a lot of the use of this music. The director has said it's a very strong nod to the Scorsese type of how like that tracking shot, how they used a whole song to go through the club and kind of show you glimpses of all the characters. The pool scene, climactic scene with the drug dealer who's freebasing cocaine, and he's singing Sister Christian and then Jesse's Girl, but he's like shooting blanks out of a gun at the guys, and they're all paranoid and coked out, and the big robbery's about to go down. So it's a lot of like
that scene was so unsettling to watch. That was the first time I watched it. I'm like, because I mean, this is the first time I watched this, so I'm sitting there, I'm like, and I'm like jumping. I'm like, don't kill Mark Wahlberg. He's got a great schlong.
So yeah, I've
music, man.
I've loved
Great
like
music.
I love this music. I love the song Magnet and Steel. I forget who does that one, but it's like a soft rock, almost like has like a cowboy country kind of feel. Walter Egan.
I also like
love that
how
song.
the cowboy look is talked about in this movie. I didn't know it was a thing.
That Rick James cowboy look.
yes, that's exactly what it is. Like the Rick James,
tons of beads.
I'm sorry, because now I just really want to talk about this movie because I've been like dying with, because like that cowboy look is like so funny in that movie, and it's just like this weird thing, and like it's the Rick James thing, but it's so out of place to like, oh my god, it's just so. He's playing the country music on the 8-track, and he's like, you gotta stop playing country music. And Don Cheadle's like, why? But why?
Yeah.
So I love these songs. They've been a part of my life especially ever since I saw this movie. But like I had known a bunch of these songs growing up because my parents were from that pop disco era of like we listened to Earth, Wind, Fire and Casey and the Sunshine Band and Kool and the Gang and stuff like that in my house. So it's like mostly very fun party music that underscores a movie that kind of takes some very dark and disturbing turns at times.
Well, like the music a lot of the time plays like the straight man in the movie.
Like ironically.
Yes, like when his like Sister Christian and like this really like tense fucking thing is happening, like Jessie Girl is playing. It also plays a straight person and also makes like the joke a lot of the time. I love it. It also, like we talked about too, it shares like Boogie Shoes with like Saturday Night Fever. So it's definitely like when that song came on, I was like, oh okay, and like gave me that kind of vibe to it.
And something else I love about this soundtrack is something that the one Mike will talk about has a lot of, but the CD opens and closes with 2 songs that Mark Wahlberg's character records in the movie that are like dog shit. They're terrible, like corny, like power pop, like power rock anthems. Because he's like,
one of them,
you got the heat, you got the boom. It's just terrible.
The first one is literally from the Transformers cartoon.
No, the last one.
The last one. Okay.
And they do the whole. They do a 4.5 minute version. Yeah, but it's just so that use of like. In that way, they're kind of using like little dialogue type of things from the movie, but the fact that they're musical and it's just like very funny and bad singing and terrible sounding guitar solos for those songs, and they're out of time. They're just like fucking terrible.
Yeah.
He's like Mark Wahlberg singing in that like the throat voice that's like none of like
Yeah.
no range in it. It's just
All right.
Yeah.
You got it here.
oh my god.
Feel my heat.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's got great 70s music, and then when it goes into the
Yeah.
80s, it's just got the right amount of 80s
Right.
like music too. 99 Left Balloons as well. It's also one of my it's just a lot of great stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great choice, man.
Mike,
Very, very good
what was
choice.
your choice?
So my choice was Reservoir Dogs,
Classic.
and this one I think is pretty significant in the way that if I remember correctly, I think this was Tarantino's like big break movie.
It was, yeah.
Right. So this kind of set up what you would come to expect from Tarantino in his incorporation of music with film, because it's kind of similar to Baby Driver, you know what I mean, as well as Boogie Nights. Like like Tarantino has his way of using music in his movies, and like it's like a signature of his, you know what I mean? And it's just such a good it's such a good soundtrack. It's got what's his name? Stephen Wright. He's like, "Hey Billy, super sounds of the 70s weekend." You know, he's doing that
keep
thing.
on
like,
rocking.
yeah, it's so good. Like those
Gotta
interjections.
keep on trucking.
And then just great. I mean, just great songs. You have Coconut. Harry Nilsson's on there. Of course, Stuck in the Middle with You. Just that scene.
Yeah.
If you want, that Harry Nilsson record is on the top shelf behind
I
the
love
Eric
that
Burdon
Harry
record.
Nilsson.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll grab it. But yeah, the Stuck in the Middle with You scene, man, where he's like cutting the ear, like the torture scene and stuff. That's one of the most obviously iconic moments where he's like talking into the guy's ear.
I'm a Coconut guy
Like,
myself.
Can you hear me? And just
I like
great
how
movie. It's all killer, no filler. It's a half an hour and 50 minutes. Like it's 30. I'm sorry. It's 30.
it's 30 minutes and 50 seconds
thank you.
long.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
the
everybody.
soundtrack.
It's not a half an hour, 50
50
minutes.
minutes. No, I know. I'm sorry. I misread.
I like how this movie, like I kind of messed up the way I said it on the last one, but like this movie, in the way that Stephen Wright is like deadpanning on everything, the music in this is like also like pretty lighthearted and fun and like
Yeah.
kind of carefree, like 70s easy going.
Yeah.
And then what is happening in the film? Because I recently went back and watched this probably like 2 months ago, maybe a month ago. And I was astounded by how violent it was. I didn't
yeah.
remember. I was
Yeah.
like, you have no idea about like how crazy, like when he's just bleeding out in the back seat and he's
Oh my God,
screaming. He's
dude.
like, "I'm gonna fucking die!" It's like it's just like that's the opening to the
it's so
movie.
crazy.
It's
so
so
good,
crazy.
though.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, there's violence in movies now, but like, it's intense for
Yeah.
like a mob movie.
And
'cause-
he's just laying there dying the entirety of the movie. He's just like laying there.
yeah, it's like this the pool of blood. It's like, and the music is just
Yeah.
like so like indifferent to what's happening.
It's like the
Yeah.
easiest easy rock
yes.
Yeah.
of that era. Just like
Yeah, like I don't know what I can. It's just like
Hooked on a Feeling is
Yeah.
on there.
Oh yeah, the ooga chooga.
What else is on there? What's the Joe Tex song?
The Joe Tex song,
Oh,
who we talked about last week.
We did
I
talk about
Gotcha.
last week. Yeah, I Gotcha.
That's it.
Little
Yep,
Green
yep,
Bag,
Yep.
which is another. Like they're all kind of like, I wouldn't say novelty songs, but like one hit wonder
Oh,
ish.
you know what? You are right. They are, they
Yeah.
are kind of novelty songs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
They're like very obscure, but like probably played to death for the 2 months they were on the radio
Yeah.
during the mid 70s or
Yeah.
yeah, because like let's be straight. Like the only reason we know oh man, now I'm not gonna be able to think. The Steelers wheel tune.
Stuck in the Middle.
Oh,
yeah.
Stuck in the middle with you
right.
is because of this movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That record's also behind you on the shelf
Yeah.
too. That I forgot to grab.
But yeah,
But,
this was Quentin Tarantino mostly drawing from music that was like big on the radio for like the summers when he was 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
is, and I like I really love that you pointed out that they were like all novelty. That is pretty great. Like they all have that like just essence of like cheese to them, and it makes like the movie so much. It almost makes it like what you're sitting through easier to watch.
You just heard Edison Lighthouse with Where My Love Grows, Where Rosemary Goes.
Yeah. It's so good, and everybody who's in it too, like Harvey Keitel.
Did I ever tell you about how when I met Stephen Wright?
No, I didn't know that you met Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright was way he was on that "don't touch my hand" shit way before COVID. That guy's the biggest germaphobe I've ever met in my life.
Really?
Yes, but he is very openly a very huge germaphobe. He came to the I want to say it was the Zydeco Festival. It might have been the Bluegrass Festival at Strawberry Park when I worked at Strawberry Park. And he had because he's a celebrity, he was a big comedian, especially in his heyday in the late 80s, early 90s. But he had his VIP passes, and I just talked to him, and I said, I'm a really big fan. Because he has his one big album, which is called, I think it's called I Bought a Pony or something like that. And I just told him
I have a pony, and I still have a pony.
Right. And I said, yeah, I'm a really big fan. I enjoy, and he's the guy on the couch in Half Baked.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I just gave a general I really like your stuff, man. He's like, oh, thank you, thanks. And I went to shake his hand, and he gave me the most tentative, I will barely put my fist out for a fist bump, and he's wearing gloves, not medical gloves, but it was fucking second week of July, and he's wearing
riding gloves.
Yeah, leather. Yeah,
pitchers hitting gloves.
But he was there with his scruffiness and his Boston Red Sox hat, and thank you, thanks.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Reservoir Dogs, it's a great movie. There's a lot of really, really funny people and good actors, Steve Buscemi.
And like you said, the music of this movie really sets the template for what Tarantino would do, as far because we could have chosen 6 Tarantino soundtracks.
Yeah, right. Well, because the next movie is Pulp Fiction,
right? And he gets more and more variety and more stranger and a wider reach of songs.
Yeah.
Even more obscure as he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check it out.
Great
Reservoir
choice.
Dogs.
Before we move on, I'd like to congratulate all 3 of us for not picking the Dazed and Confused soundtrack. Good job, gentlemen.
Oh yes.
But we did pick 3 of White Guy's favorite movies. So let's take back those here. Take them back.
There was a black guy in my movie.
Jesus. Oh man.
Oh my god.
So there you have it. We'll move on to soundtracks. To scores rather in a second. We'll take a quick break.
A quick commercial break.
We'll come back with scores.
Keep it locked in.
Keep it locked in right here.
Keep
That
on
Get in the
trucking.
Garage, a music podcast.
You want to break bread and eat in this?
That's
Want to break bread and eat up in this motherfucker.
Welcome back to Get in the Garage, a music podcast. We'd like to thank
This is our
Thank Deborah.
This is our ASMR segment.
This is us eating oatmeal cream pies by Little Debbie.
Deborah.
Deborah. Wild Thornberries reference there for you if you didn't pick up on it.
Oh, speaking of Wild Thornberries, Flea, who plays Donnie on the Wild Thornberries, was also in the movie Baby Driver, which we forgot to talk about.
Was
no
that
nose. That's a
Joey?
no nose.
Yeah,
no
we were
nose.
going
No
about
no.
the music, not the movie, but he's in it and famously confuses Mike Myers with Michael Myers.
That's such a good scene.
You said Mike Myers. This is Mike Myers.
Halloween. This is a
Here's
Halloween
mask.
So good.
So we move
yes.
on.
Yes.
We're now going to discuss some scores. Elevate things a little bit. Fancy, pinky out.
Yeah.
We each picked one score to highlight and talk about. And there are many great scores. Some of my favorite things to listen to are movie scores. I have a if you go on my Spotify, I have like a 70-hour playlist because I just am like, if I like the score of this movie, boom, it goes on the playlist.
Yep.
It's great studying music. It's great background music, depending on the mood you're looking for, because there can be all types of scores. There's very orchestral-based scores. There's very like ambient, weird electronic music scores. There's like throbbing Matrix style like techno scores.
Oh, the score to that Adam Sandler movie I hated so much. Uncut Jam.
Uncut Jams.
Yes. That movie has a score that just gives me
Anxiety.
the worst anxiety.
Yeah. I like this. I believe it's the same artist who I think is I can't remember the person's name, but they are like a recording artist, did the score. And they did the score for the movie before that, Good Time. I liked that score more. personally. But it was the same vibe where it's electronic music that's supposed to make you feel like the cops are about to corner you.
Yeah, it just builds that intensity.
Yeah. So our choices, we all picked. Let me think.
I picked the score of the Great British Bake Off.
Oh.
Just when it gets really like suspenseful, like
Dun, 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 dun.
the lady's like, "Oh, it's spilt everywhere."
It's unapproved.
we all picked different eras,
Sorry.
and we'll go in the same order we just did, but it is chronological because Luke's is from the early 50s, mine's from the mid 70s, Mike's is from the early 2000s. So different. I would say a different vibe as far as fidelity and recording clarity, but also they share elements, but kind of very different scores.
Yeah.
But if you listen to all three in a row, they all kind of
Yeah.
we didn't pick anything too jarring or crazy or
No, I don't
Weird.
think so. I don't think so.
Luke. What was the score that you selected?
I selected Streetcar Named Desire.
Classy.
So this movie came out in 1951. Yeah, so this came out in 1951. The score was recommended to me. My significant other is a big movie buff.
Just one of those days, dude. Oh, sorry, I can't hear that.
Yes. She's a big movie buff, and I was like, what's a great movie score that like you would say is notable? And she said Streetcar Named Desire. So I said, okay. So that's the one I chose. I watched the movie this week. The score is by Alex North. And it won the Academy Award for best best original score. Oscar nomination.
There you
go.
Alex North, I don't believe ever won an Oscar, and he was nominated like 15 times.
That's
Really?
yeah, he was nominated in that category though 2 times.
2 times that year. Yep.
Yes. So it basically is like a full orchestra, like heavy strings, but has a very hard jazz leaning. It's got like really great like muted trumpet. So the movie basically is kind of like this girl that goes slowly nuts, but there's a lot of ins and outs in between there.
It ain't slow.
Well, no, her descent into
Oh, more and more, sure.
yeah. I'm saying like there's a lot more like just weird comings and goings baked into the movie. But the soundtrack really plays off of her like crazy like monologues that she gives, and it like and something like it's very foreshadowing of something about to happen. I like how it uses the jazz element in the orchestra element really perfectly, where it has like the like wispy like violins that sound like with the wind blowing. Then like it's has like great like bari sax parts for like Marlon Brando's character to like show his like masculinity. I actually looked up some stuff about like too, like if one of the links off the Wikipedia page for this led me to another article that like quoted Miles Davis as being like, this is a wild, he's like said that soundtrack was like pretty wild for its day. And it's pretty interesting that like Miles Davis noted that the soundtrack was pretty interesting to him because it's also very like reminiscent of like his Sketches of Spain album with Gil Evans. Later in the decade, this movie came out in 51. Those albums came out in like the later 50s. But this is like the birth of that, right? Because it's definitely full orchestra and it has like light jazz elements. They're not like super heavy. They are super heavy, but it like holds both angles at the same time.
Yeah, I think the jazz stuff is really in it because the movie takes place in the French Quarter in New Orleans.
Thank you.
So it's like it is a melodramatic type of orchestral score that, like Luke said, shows the kind of descent into mental illness stuff and the obsession and the anxiety and all that. But it has the tinges of the setting, the New Orleans kind of. It's not, there aren't any like swinging brass band shit in this, but there's just you can hear that kind of thing bleed into the orchestra sound.
There's a lot of like Benny Goodman
Clarinet type stuff, right?
in it as
Yeah.
well, like the and the
And pretty diverse score as like if you go track by track, there are like it goes in different places.
Yeah, definitely. It was really really well done. It's a great score. The movie, it was super interesting. Just on another note, because it's obviously a really old movie. It's like 70 years old. In the movie, didn't lead you. It has all these like taboo pinpoints in it, like sexuality and prostitution and mental health, all these different pinpoints, and it doesn't really tell you how to feel about any of them at any point in the movie. So it was really fascinating to watch because like a lot of movies nowadays are really like they tell you who the bad guy and who the good guy is. This movie does not do that at all and lead you to make your own assumptions of these people and what they've done and their actions. So I found that really really interesting to watch. So like. And it's probably the hardest thing about watching it is you almost have no reference because you're waiting for them to tell you what the morality of the characters are, and the music is almost the only guide to the morality of these characters. So it'll give you like pushes and plays on all that, and it's very interesting. So to watch something so old. Like be non-judgmental and just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, in that way, this movie it's based on very famous Tennessee Williams play, but I think this movie with just the music and like silent film style, like you could just play the picture and play the music and not even hear any of the dialogue, and you would understand what's going on.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But it's not like hitting you over the head with it, but it's just the way of like it kind of like. Tilts a certain way when someone's going on a very long monologue, or it gets very kind of like darker when all the like super masculine abusive stuff happens. And I love that. I had never listened to the score on its own. I've seen the movie a handful of times, and I love the music in it.
Yeah, the music plays on its own.
Yeah.
It's almost entirely off of the movie. Like if you've never seen the movie and you just want to listen to something, this works for that. It stands on its own right. It doesn't need the movie to play itself.
Yeah, I had no reference point because I had never seen the movie, so just listening to the soundtrack alone, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, because it holds jazz in hand, but it's not jazz. It's definitely full orchestra.
Right.
Score.
Yeah.
So it's very like. I like that aspect of it. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It almost made like mood music out of jazz, like to a certain aspect of it. So
Yeah.
But very cool.
Great choice.
Also, while we were watching that movie, I said to Chelsea, I was like, "Who's that? Who's that guy? Who's that schmuck?" And she's like, "Marlon Brando." And I was like, "Oh."
A very young Marlon Brando. Yeah.
So that was also very interesting.
He's jacked too, man. There's moments where he's like standing like with his arms crossed, and he looks pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, not
He's a handsome. He's like
a classically handsome gentleman. Yeah.
I'm more into like the 1995 Marlon Brando.
Oh,
Where
really?
he just looks like Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, Marlon.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Marlon.
This score is. It's beautiful, it's ambiguous, it's emotional, it's evocative, but holds its own by itself too.
Very classic, very old Hollywood.
Yeah. Right on. Moving
Alex
on.
North.
So my choice is actually when you selected A Streetcar Named Desire, I almost changed my pick, but I stuck with it because the score I chose is in a way kind of like taking the baton from the Streetcar Named Desire type of sound. And that's the score for Taxi Driver, done by Bernard Herrmann, the Martin Scorsese breakout picture from 1976. And the music is, there isn't orchestra, but instead it's like a wall of brass instruments doing these very dense, like bum, 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 deep. It's like really deep, like guttural, like but beautiful, thick notes. It's like sweaty and grimy and gritty, but like, and it's very. So it has that jazz-ish flavor. It's jazz
Adjacent.
jazz adjacent.
Jazz adjacent.
But just like A Streetcar Named Desire, it's like it's musically it's ambiguous, and it's kind of dreamy at times. It has this obsessive nature at times, a kind of like brooding, doomy, like foreboding type of thing happening. And paired with the movie, it works perfectly for the emotionality of the main character, because he's like a sleep deprived psychopath in training who's like wants to shoot a political person and wants to like rescue a prostitute and is stalking a girl who works at an office, and musically, like, there's scenes where it's like doom and gloom, like thick trumpets and like low tubas and stuff, and then it has this like seductive saxophone thing on top, and like it's this romantic like and when you watch the movie, it's like the romantic stuff is like playing while there's close up of his like bugged out eyes like staring at the girl. It's like so famously Bernard Herrmann is the guy who did all in quotes the Alfred Hitchcock movies, Psycho, Vertigo, etc., Rear Window. So Scorsese specifically wanted Bernard Herrmann to do the movie, and he sent him the thing, and he's like, I'm not gonna do a car movie, because at the time in the mid-70s everybody was making like muscle car movies. And he's like, this is not a car movie, please read the script, like I think your music would like perfectly underscore it. It's this like psychological horror kind of like descent into madness movie. And Bernard Herrmann took the job. It was the last film he worked on, because Bernard Herrmann died like the Christmas time before the movie came out the next summer. Supposedly wrote the voicing and everything for the pieces in like 2 or 3 days, but just like had like, I want the mood to be these thick brass sounds that are just like very like, oh, and then there's like Rhodes piano kind of just like
It's almost like alien.
There's some harps and stuff.
It's alien to have like that much brass be like the main instrument to something without like a groove underneath it, and then like to play like a beautiful line on top of it, like you're saying, like the close up and the eye, and it plays like both things. It plays the crazy in there, and then like the thought of what the character is thinking in it doubly like holds that both line, like we were saying before, like the last thing. Yeah, it's just, it's very,
and like the drums, it's like all like marching, like like snare drum.
Right.
Whenever like, drums happen, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. Like it's like when you're watching Hell's Kitchen, you hear like the. You're like, oh, someone's burnt the fish again.
This is all burnt fish.
When I was listening to the soundtrack, there's one and it lines up with the scene. I can't remember which track it is exactly, but it lines up with a scene where he's like driving at night, which is like the whole fucking movie anyway. But he's like driving, and I don't know if it's Jodie Foster's character with somebody or if it was just like two prostitutes in that, like, I guess red light district area, if you want to call it that. The music is kind of like mellow and sort of brooding and all that stuff, and all of a sudden there's a bang because they like jump in front of the taxi. Yeah. Dude, I was listening to that. Okay, not watching the movie, and I'm like listening to it, and all of a sudden it was just like bang, and dude, I like it, like it scared me.
It's a careful with that axe Eugene moment,
dude. For real, man. It's like
because that's what he's the king of, those jump scare musical moments in the Hitchcock movies. Yeah. So there are some of those in this. Where it'll be like they do the sax and like a little, like kind of like a harp flourish and like just kind of keyboard notes, and then you hear like dun dun dun, and you're like, oh, and like for real, I was listening to the score and I'm thinking like, how many brass instruments are playing around? Like how many notes are in this chord? They are like all bottom of the staff, like 8-note chord voicings that are just like this like tension and just density, like famously also so the good. Steely Dan shout out of the week, Tom Scott, who played saxophone on a bunch of Steely Dan stuff. He's the guy playing alto sax on
way. Really? No way.
We need to clip that.
That was his time, man.
Steely Dan
1975.
This has been your Steely Dan moment.
That's right. So yeah, and it being his last score, I think I think it kind of elevates it, makes it even bigger maybe in people's minds.
Yeah.
But this score, like, I don't know if I would like really recommend listening to this score on your own like Mike did, because it could like put you in a weird mental place.
If you're not expecting those
Yeah.
and
because it's beautiful
it'll make you
and
jump
like,
out of your seat if you're just listening to it in headphones
This is-
with absolutely
okay,
no
it's
context.
dream / nightmare. This whole score.
Yeah, for real.
That's why I didn't choose like the Shining soundtrack.
Oh,
because that was what I was gonna choose, but then I was like, the pieces aren't that
Yeah.
long, and he just kind of
Yeah.
reuses them.
Yeah.
But the other one was, there's really no reference point to
just droney weird boom
Yeah.
boom.
on the, like the Moog.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! And also, just saying, Robert De Niro with a mohawk is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
like malnourished, sleep deprived.
just like, oh my god,
yeah.
dude! It's oh my god, because that's like because it's available on Netflix, so that's where I watched it, and
nice.
like the cover for it is just like him looking fucking crazy with the mohawk, and you're like,
It's an excellent movie, excellent music.
Can our listeners hear that?
no, they cannot.
Cool. Mike got a text.
Oh, I thought it was dinner time.
Ding.
Ding. When you're here, your family.
So yeah, check it out. The score for Taxi Driver, Bernard Herrmann. If you're on streaming, they do include like the disco remix of 5 of the tracks at the end, which I played the whole thing, and then I didn't see what was playing, and then I'm like, I remember there being like a Saturday Night Fever version of the theme, and then like 20 seconds into it, I realized that's what they use for Zach Galifianakis's Between Two Ferns.
Oh.
That is the Taxi Driver. That is
no shit.
that disco track version of the Taxi Driver theme song that's on the Spotify album. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I've heard this before. Yep.
Wow, no shit, huh?
Yeah.
What do
Wow.
you know?
We just broke a lot of ground.
We did.
A lot of discoveries were made this week on. This is also a Get in the Garage Goes to the Movies episode,
It is.
which
yeah.
we did not.
And Mike, what is your choice? Because
Wow.
there can only be there's one to rule them all.
one score to. A wizard is never late. Yeah, I picked the Fellowship of the Ring soundtrack from the first Lord of the Rings film, directed by Peter Jackson, and all the music was composed by Howard Shore.
Oh, Howard Shore, who loves the Taxi Driver type stuff too.
Yeah,
He does all those Scorsese scores,
does he?
like
Oh,
from
yeah.
from the mid '90s on.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I did look. Hold on.
Yeah, I think he did the M. Night Shyamalan scores too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's into that. This score is not like that though. This score is
This one is. Yeah,
Hobbitish,
it's very it's very hobbitish,
Elvish.
elvish, dwarfish,
Yeah,
orcish.
Orcish. at
Oh,
times.
big time,
Yeah,
big time
times.
orcish.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool because this is one of those things. Like this is this is kind of the introduction to all of the themes that'll be used throughout the next 2 films too. And then obviously he adds other elements to kind of be the theme of a certain sort of like group of people or something like that, countrymen and whatnot. But it's cool because not only is it like the introduction to all of it, but every like what I think is so crazy about it is the fact that J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote the books, obviously, he was a linguist, so he actually created like sort of like like for the most part I think completed languages for
He had a lot of time on his
for
hands.
all of the races of Middle Earth. You know what I mean?
They didn't have Spotify in 1925.
No, they definitely didn't. No, he's like, I guess I'll invent 3 languages. But yeah, so what's cool is they incorporate all of that language in the songs as well, and it's like everything feels like like when they're with the elves, there's this sort of like ethereal, sort of like spiritual, pure kind of thing happening, and then the dwarves, it's very like working and strong and in the
Drum
mines
heavy.
and drum heavy, and then yeah, like especially like Mordor and like the orcs and the Uruk-hai and all that stuff too. That's very like
Wait, what word did you just say?
orcs,
What did you say after that?
Uruk-hai.
Oh, please explain.
Okay, so orcs Urukai. So
was that
God.
the white like pre-orcs people?
No.
Post-orcs? I'm not-
Post-orcs.
Okay.
Yeah, post-orcs.
Dorks.
Yeah, well, this is my... Come on, man. It's my bread and butter. But yeah, orcs are like a different Urukai are different versions of orcs, but orcs came from Isengard.
It's more of your
with
ring and
Sauron,
finger.
and orcs came from Mordor. But there were also orcs that were also called goblins that lived in the mines of Moria, too.
Bread and butter. I thought you were talking about second breakfast.
Well,
What's taters, sir?
so...
I like I love this score. I especially like the very folky like whistle and strings.
all the Hobbit
yeah,
music. Yeah,
that
the
stuff is
Hobbit
really
music's
good.
so good.
It was hard for me to find joy in the soundtrack because I hate these movies
Oh.
so much.
It makes me so sad.
See, I don't know these. I've never seen the third movie.
Oh,
You've never seen Return of the King?
Have you seen someone
Oh,
walk?
Man, that's it.
Have I seen someone walk
Yeah.
for 6 hours straight?
I mean,
I have.
You've
I've
seen
done it
the
myself.
Movie. You've seen the
Yeah.
movie. You've seen the movie. You've seen Grass before?
The Haters
I've
Club
seen
over
paint-
here.
I have watched paint dry.
Have you seen a picture of a volcano going off?
Oh, I have.
You've seen the movie.
Oh,
Maybe
cool.
it's acquired taste, which clearly it is.
I
as
like
far
the-
as Luke is concerned. But I'm
I
just
liked
saying.
the first two. I never got to the
No,
third
listen.
one because I've been waiting to.
My attention deficit disorder
Sure.
makes it
Yeah.
very impossible for me to sit through these movies.
Mm.
They are very hard.
It's 3 hours apiece.
Yeah.
Extended director's cuts just shy of 4. That's
Oh,
what I
that's
watch.
what we're talking
Come
about.
on, man. What are we talking about here? Who watches the theatrical releases?
3 hours apiece if you're a
fucking,
pussy.
fucking amateurs.
For me, it's
I've tried all
just-
3 in one day. It's not possible.
I like dorky stuff, like
Yeah.
nerdy things, but this like brand of dorky thing is something I just cannot get into.
How about the music? The music on its own.
the music on its own?
It's
It's
also
so attached in my
Sure.
head to like the
Yeah.
it's hard to set. Yeah, it's like that. It's for me. And this is a personal. This is not. If you like it, I'm not trying to.
Our apologies to the J.R. Tolkien
Yes.
estate.
I'm right here, guys.
That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, I don't. It's
Not
not
that you
like
say
This
obvious.
opinion shall not pass.
I know it's good, but for my taste, it's like the same thing with like folk music. I don't
Oh,
like
sure.
Celtic folk music.
Ah.
It drives me nuts.
Really? See,
So
I
like
love
this
Celtic folk
stuff and
music.
like the fairy lean to it, like
Yeah.
the dragons, medieval. That's like my least favorite kind of like that stuff. Like I just can't get into it. The Dungeons and that
Sure.
vibe.
Yeah.
The music.
Yeah, you're not a
is-
fantasy guy.
Yeah, the music
Yeah.
is really good, but it's just for me, it's very attached. But
Sure.
Yeah.
very epic, theatrical.
Yeah, it's in
For
the vein of
me-
the Star Wars and the it's those. It's the movie franchise.
Well, this is what
idea.
I'm going to say why it's. I'm going to also say why it's. I think it's good.
Hmm.
It's good because when I listen back to it, I remembered the scenes they
Sure.
took place in.
Yeah.
The fight. I remember like the scenes of like they're all like you see like all the army and it's like
Yeah.
in the molten lava and like I was like oh yep that's this song or like
Yeah.
the the like
When they're like
is
they're
that
like
Liv
singing
Tyler
in the
under
bar.
the tree like right
It is.
like that
Yeah.
whole like that stuff I was listening back and I was like yes
Giving Tree.
okay I get this and it
That's such a sad book. I read it the other day to Leo.
Isn't that? I think that's a sign of a really good score.
that's
Yeah, right.
why I was
Right.
like
Attached.
I'm just like rubbing on Mike's because I'm saying I don't really like Lord of the Rings but the score is
Lloyd of the Rings.
Lloyd the Lord of the Rings
I'm gonna
brother
kill you, Lloyd.
Lord Ring
We
Lord
drove
of the
a
Rings.
sixth of the country in the wrong direction.
Oh God, sorry. I'm sorry.
no but that's that
But
it-
yeah, I feel
you-
it's not for everybody.
But it's
you
the
know,
same
but-
thing. It's the greatness of when you're listening to like the Harry Potter soundtrack or Star Wars.
Yeah,
which,
it's right, right.
It's you're like, oh, yep, that's that scene. This
Yeah.
is that scene.
Did you
that's-
guys listen?
Right.
I listened to the version that said like the complete recordings.
Yes.
Which was like
Yes.
it was their version of the 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember how many tracks it was,
Is-
but it was a lot.
So my big question was, did you choose this one because this is like introduces the themes and the feel and whatever?
Yeah.
Not necessarily like you looked at all 3 movies and were like, well, it's
It's also my favorite of the 3.
music wise.
Both
Sure.
movie
okay.
and music wise. Yeah, I like The
Okay.
Fellowship the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. because it's like when you first meet the character. There's just this
Right.
thing about like the
Yeah, like
introduction, because when you know you're in for
and then the characters
a
kind of get
3-film 4-hour a piece thing,
the characters kind of get themes played off of the original themes when
Yeah.
they're introduced in this movie. And it
Right,
carries
right,
with
right.
them,
Yeah.
and
So it's the first times you're like attributing the sort
Right.
of the themes to the to the characters in the movie. But yeah, just I love it, man. I love Lord of the Rings. I have
Nice.
a Gandalf certified licensed cloak
Can
at
you-
my house.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
When did you get?
I had I went through a weird I was making stabs and shit, but I was little.
Um,
We're-
What can you do?
You want to close with so
Yeah.
we wanted to talk about soundtracks and scores, but 10 seconds into suggesting the idea, I realized if we don't make a separate category, we're probably all going to choose John Williams scores because
Yeah.
he's the king of scores. And he really is. He's like done scores for every major movie since 1975, basically.
Yeah.
So as a special little tag at the end, we are going to talk about our top 3 most favorite 3 John Williams scores. Not trying to separate the movie from the music, but like we said, the best scores tie so much into the movie themselves. I'll hit my top 3 in ascending order. My number 3 is the score for E.T. Just from I want to say 1981. I like this score because it has that. It's like a science fiction-y type of vibe, but without getting too like horror movie science fiction-y. It's more of
Yeah.
like a kind of hopeful, mysterious type of feel.
Yep.
His theme that happens during the big bike thing at the end is a very iconic theme. So my number 3 is E.T. and 1982.
1982.
Sorry, my number 1 is from 1981. And this was a movie that like I remember watching this as a young kid, and it is kind of has some kind of scary, creepy, like horror-y type of elements for a kid movie, and the music really works with that. My number 2 is, like Mike said, for Lord of the Rings, I'm picking the first because it introduces the whole vibe, but the first Star Wars is my number 2 because I know that the Darth Vader theme doesn't happen until the second movie, but the themes that are in the first movie themselves are just so good. The Leia theme, the opening titles, the little jazz band in the cantina, the chase, the fanfare song at the end during the medal ceremony. And my number 1, which is one of the scores that like I could just play this at any time, and that's the Raiders of the Lost Ark score. That's from 1981, and that's just like it's so has everything I want from a score with like trumpet sections and kind of chase things, but it's a very classic like it's not Western, but it has there's a lot of openness in the music, and there's a lot of those kind of like you're on a quest type of musical cues. So a lot of the like little bells and stuff. And I love the theme, the Marion theme in that movie, the romantic themes. I think he writes really good romantic themes. It's John Williams. He's written a lot of movies, and if you put them all in a lineup, it's kind of hard to choose because they all share similar things. But
You could throw a dart, and chances
Yeah.
are it lands on one that you go, yeah, that's a fucking
Yeah.
great sound. That's a great
Right.
score.
so that's my top 3.
Yeah.
1, Raiders of the Lost Ark. 2, Star Wars: New Hope, and 3, E.T. Extraterrestrial.
Luke?
I'm gonna go number 3, Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
As a child. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun. So classic.
Yeah.
The shot with the dinosaurs in the beginning, if that doesn't blow your mind as like a 5-year-old.
I love the bad version that's played
Oh.
on like
On like a
kazoo
recorder.
or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good recorder.
Yeah, it's so good. That's how
Yeah.
you know something's good. If it's been made into a meme, you know it's good.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's like probably the first one.
Sure,
The Harry Potter.
sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just all like the all like it's so like that. It's just childhood classic. Great. I love it. Michael got another text that threw me off.
Oh, I thought that was part of the score.
Ding.
Oh my
The
goodness!
score to the soundtrack.
I have to turn this. I have to turn Do Not Disturb mode on.
Instrument used on that score that gets that like sustained bell things. It's called a glass harmonica.
Yeah.
Look up this instrument, man.
They're so cool.
They're so cool. It's
They're
like
so
invented
cool.
by Ben Franklin in the 1700s.
Really?
They're like almost.
You never seen those?
They're almost impossible to play.
Also,
Crazy.
shout out to that instrument because that instrument was also played on Korn's Unplugged
Oh,
album.
as we all know. As we all know.
What's this song?
Yeah.
What's that? Is that? I can't remember.
I
But
believe-
yeah,
I
somebody plays
believe,
that on the glass harmonica.
I believe our boy Jesse is a big fan of that Korn Unplugged record.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
He might be.
I think he is. I
Yeah.
think he is.
All right, so
shout
Jurassic
out
Park.
to before we move on. Shout out to Korn. Chelsea's been having a Korn week this week. so
Oh, nice and corny.
we went through it. We went through it.
That's why there's bagpipes playing.
Buckle my shoe. And my number one is Star Wars. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The Imperial March is my favorite. Second is the Cantina Band song. You know.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, well, mine, I'll do in no particular order.
Okay.
Ooh,
do it no
fucking
I'm not
no
gonna do it.
particular place to go
Sorry.
over here,
'Cause I-
fucking Chuck Berry.
Because I just think that, so.
They're too close.
Not that they're too
The
close
photo
as much as
photo
it's like I
finish.
don't want to, I can't. I didn't think of that.
He doesn't
that
want to
deep.
offend John Williams.
But Superman,
Oh, okay.
1978.
Yeah.
He did Superman, and like that was kind of the first movie of its kind in a way, man. Like in
Yeah.
terms of like these giant superhero blockbusters, man.
Sure.
And I think that's the reason why like his score set the tone of that sort of like triumphant superhero thing. But then Superman was interesting too because he technically wasn't from Earth, so it had this kind of like science fiction sort of like sprinkled on top of everything too, and just great, man, just absolutely great. Another one I want to go for, this was kind of like a last minute sub, but I thought about it and I was like, well, this one has to be on somebody's list, is Jaws, because
Yeah.
Jaws
my
is
God.
like
Dum dum
Dum,
dum
dum,
dum.
dum, dum, dum,
Come on.
dum, 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 dum. Come on, man. There's like it is what it is. You can't.
You hear the first three notes of that song, and that's it.
Yeah. Bum, bum,
You're
bum,
like,
bum, bum, bum.
we're gonna need a bigger boat.
we're gonna need a bigger boat.
We are.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Superman, Jaws, and then I gotta go with Home Alone, man.
Oh, sure.
Because
Dude,
I just
he did
I
the
just-
Home
yeah, he
Alone.
did Home Alone.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. I gotta go with Home Alone because like
And Home Alone has great music because there's that weepy emotional stuff, but there's also like the fucking cartoon type music
Yeah.
during all the pratfall, like cans hitting guys' heads.
Right.
There's a lot of that like
Yeah.
funny kind of like lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
Like an oboe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
yeah, where they're
piano.
like peering around a corner or something like that, and then a paint can comes down and whacks him in the face. So there you go. There's
Good
my
choices.
three.
Check before you go on vacation. Make sure you have all your kids. This is a
Yeah.
PSA from Get in the Garage.
Yeah, they remade the first Home Alone. I'm like, how? There's what?
They remade it.
I think they remade the first
They
Home
did.
Alone.
Yeah, or I know they were talking about
Did
it.
he just not have a phone? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you forget at that point?
Most,
Everyone's got
most
mobile
movies
phones.
now are you just could solve it by someone had a phone.
Yeah, if somebody just texted him and been like, "You forgot me," and be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. So make sure your kids are with you. Also, can I just give an honorable mention to a film composer? Hans Zimmer was
Sure.
one that I was thinking about too, because Hans Zimmer did like the Dark Knight, Batman stuff, Pirates of the Caribbean, Gladiator. What else? He did a bunch. He's like the Michael Bay of composers. So like when it comes to because he does all those like big action things and like all that kind of stuff.
My honorable mention is Thomas Newman because I was going to choose The Shawshank Redemption, which I really love the music from that. He also did the Wall-E score.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Mike. Give it to us.
Among many others.
Who?
The Wall-E voice.
Wally.
Oh, Wall-E.
Wally.
Wall-E.
Thank you.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Yeah. I love movies. I love music and movies.
Can I give a shout out to another one?
Sure.
Todd Rundgren for his amazing work on Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, excellent work.
Did he do the score on Dumb and Dumber?
Oh, how about my other honorable mention? Mark Knopfler, the lead guitarist and singer for Dire Straits, who did the music for The Princess Bride.
Oh, did he?
Which is just like, it's acoustic guitar and then synthesized strings and woodwinds. It's great. It's one of my favorites.
Good shout outs.
I like.
Good shout outs. Oh, who was the dude who did, was that The Truman Show? Was that?
Philip Glass and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they're like new age kind of avant-garde type of composers.
Yeah, that soundtrack. I mean, that score rather is amazing.
Yeah.
Honorable mention movie score, The Truman Show.
I have no honorable mention.
Well, you said The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining was the one I was.
And the Kubrick ones, I wanted to choose a Kubrick one, but he uses so many, like, he just uses classical pieces instead of having someone write something.
I wanted to do the Shining, but it ends up like it's kind of more, and I didn't really realize this because I'm not like a big classical music buff, but I didn't realize that movie isn't really a score. It's classical music pieces mixed with like two score pieces that are short in length.
Yeah. Wendy Carlos.
Yeah, who we've also talked about on this podcast before.
Yeah. Right on. Well, there you have it. Movie scores, soundtracks, and all that fun stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Leave comments.
Michael, what does it do when you comment?
Do this thing.
Oh,
too.
it awakens it. Yeah, give us a like.
It awakens the beast.
It awakens the beast, the primordial creature that is the algorithm, and it lets it know that we exist. So when you search for us and stuff, our stuff starts becoming more available upon first searches and not having to do too much digging. But if you have to do some digging, if you go to our Instagram page, you can find all the links to our YouTube and all that stuff too.
Which is
Get in the Garage.
All right, you cool cats and kittens.
All right.
Stay fresh.
See you next time.
This has been a presentation from the Wasted Robot Network. For more information and links to other shows, please visit www.wastedrobotrecords.com/podcasts.